Look, we are coming straight from the gym to talk about episode 2 of Beyond the Gates. But first, I just want to thank everyone who has followed this account. I think it shows that there is so much interest in Beyond the Gates that an account like mine, super small, just created yesterday on a whim, is even getting attention. And I think that bodes well for the future of the show. So I'm going to do these videos like this. I will probably start with the character who had the most action, who had the most drama, and just go through all their interactions, what they went through. So, of course, we got to start with my girl, Danny, because, like I said yesterday, her storyline is the biggest point of contention in the show so far. So, the episode opens up with Danny looking at pictures of her wedding to Bill. She's so happy in the pictures and she's so sad looking at these pictures. And then, of course, her mom, Anita, walks in. Now, keep in mind, this is the same morning where she ran into Bill's soon to be wife, Haley, in the country club and punched her in the face. So Anita comes in, consoles her, and is just like, don't let this man who did not deserve to be with you take away your joy, trying to encourage her. But Danny is on a warpath and she is determined to make Bill and Haley's life miserable. Now, it would not be a soap opera if someone didn't have a drinking problem. And so we see after Danny has talked to her mom, there's another scene where she's getting ready. She gets this, I want to say, blue dress and red heels. And then she sits down. There's a broken picture frame of her and her ex-husband. The glass is broken. And so she turns it around and then she takes a shot of what I assume is vodka. And then, of course, she is the cliffhanger queen of this show so far. At the very end of the episode, she bursts into Bill's office, takes one of his golf clubs, and he's in a meeting with someone. He's a lawyer, by the way. He's in a meeting with two people, and she bursts into the office, takes the golf club, and just racks. What's that word? She takes the golf club and swings it across the desk, and like says, "You have some nerve," or she says something basically like, "I'm pissed the fuck off, and I'm gonna make your life miserable." Speaking of Bill, he had more screen time this episode. First, he's talking to Haley, who comes to him because she, after the country club incident, decides to go talk to Nicole, which is Danny's sister. And I think that is going to piss Danny off. Uh, Can't even explain how pissed Danny's going to be knowing that Nicole even allowed Haley to come into her house. Now, that whole conversation was Nicole basically saying, "Girl, no, you have some nerve to come into my house to ask me to forgive you, to welcome you into this neighborhood. And it is going to be up to my sister, Danny, to allow you to come into this neighborhood and be accepted by everyone." But I think Danny's going to be pissed whenever she finds out Nicole even entertained the conversation. So, anyway, we see Bill, and Haley comes to him, and he is pissed off that Danny punched her, and he's gonna make a phone call to someone. And she's like, "No, dude, you're gonna make me look weak. Like, I've got to establish myself, and you fighting my battles isn't going to do it." He doesn't make a phone call, but then she talks about the idea of just eloping to Vegas and canceling the country club wedding. And he says, "Hey, if this is what you want, we're going to make this happen." And he says, "I'm going to do what I do best." So then he decides to go see Vernon, shows up at their house where he has been presumably several times over the years. And Vernon is like, "What the hell are you doing here at my door?" So then they do a little talking at the door. He ends up coming in. And this is where I said there are inklings of other stories happening. In the first episode, we see Bill take care of a problem for one of his friends, perhaps a client whose son was, I think, broke into someone's house while he was on drugs. He made a quick phone call, and then the people said, "We're not going to press charges." Bill made it clear that many people owe him favors. So he goes to Vernon and asks him to try to sway the Dupree women to come to their wedding, which is like insane. But at the very end of the conversation, he's leaving and he says something to the effect of, "Hey, you owe me one for all the things I took care of for you." There you go. Like I said, inkling of something else going on, and we're going to learn more about that later. Speaking of Vernon, a majority of his scenes before Bill were with his grandson Martin. They were in the house talking about what happened, and he said, I hate to see it come to violence. But Martin was like, hey, it's a new day, Grandpa. Like, sometimes someone needs to be sucker punched. And so they went back and forth about that. And then they got into a conversation about Martin and how he was feeling restless. We find out he's in the House of Representatives, and he's working, and we haven't quite met his family yet, but they allude to perhaps problems in the relationship of some sort. So we don't know what's going on there. But then, and I love this part. Then, because I love a swirly relationship. I mean, hold on, can you see back there? Well, I'm in a swirly relationship. There are lots of people in swirly relationships in this show. Um, After Martin leaves his grandfather, I feel like it goes to commercial break or whatever, and then we see this nerdy looking white guy on the phone, kind of like talking about, "Hey, I'm stressed. I can't do this." And then a door opens and he says something to the effect of, "Hey, husband." And you see that Martin is with the guy. Martin is apparently openly gay. I feel like there was a lot of press that came out that I didn't read because I didn't want to be spoiled by it. But apparently, Martin is the first openly gay in this world, openly gay Black House of Representatives congressperson. So we find out that he's married to this guy, which I didn't get his name. I'll have to look it up. They have two kids, Samantha and Tyrell. They're teenagers. They did not make an appearance in the show, but soap operas have a hard time with kids because I mean, if they're 5 years old, sometimes they have to, I forget the term. It's called SORAS, I think, SORAS. Basically, they have to age the kids. So they've already given them an out with these children to say, hey, they're teenagers, 16 and 17. Samantha wants to date. Tyrell's having trouble in calculus, whatever. Um, but you can kind of tell there's some tension in their relationship, although we don't get into what that tension is yet. And also, representation matters. I love it. I love that there is a gay Black man on the show and he's in an interracial relationship because, baby, it is 2025 and that's what we do. Now, earlier, I did mention Nicole, and before her scenes with Haley, we get to see her interact with two women, a younger one and an older one, who are assistants of some sort. The younger one is kind of like, it feels like an internship almost, but she clearly works there because she's older than 18. Um, and then the older woman, she seems like she's the scheduler for her. She comes in and says, hey, you have a brunch to plan. There are three options for the meal. What do you want? And we kind of see Nicole doesn't like to make decisions. She has an award and she doesn't know what she's going to say. I think she said that in the first episode. She has this brunch that she's planning, but she doesn't want to pick out a meal. She tells her to email it. So we kind of get a hint that perhaps Nicole, the psychiatrist, might not have it all together. And then for the first time, I think the first time, maybe the second time, I can't remember, we get to see her husband. And in the very beginning, Danny said, oh my gosh, it must be nice to have a husband who not only would he never cheat on you, he would also never even think to look at another woman. So we see that they're very loving and kind, but I think that is an illusion from Danny that there are going to be other issues with them that perhaps they were able to cover, or maybe, Nicole doesn't even know that her husband has slept with someone else. Now, I bring that up because we are going to go to the hospital where they both. The hospital is Garland Hospital, and before Nicole and her husband get there, and I'm blanking on his name, but before they get there, we get to meet Ashley. And we've met her in the last episode. We see her getting ready for work. She's a nurse and it's her very first day, and she's super excited. She has a hunky firefighter boyfriend. I mean, he's like ripped, like just big. That's in the first episode. The second episode, today, she is at the hospital and she's super excited. And we get to see one of her friends who tags along with her mom and the friend's mom. I forget their names, but I thought it was very interesting on the writer's part for Ashley to have dialogue with her mom saying, You were a single mom. You sacrificed a lot for me to be here. And I think it's kind of puts that uh, trope on, it turns it on its head, you know, because in a lot of shows, the single mom is usually black and she has worked hard so her daughter can succeed. So I thought that was interesting. And that was probably a choice that the writers made. I don't know, Michelle, you tell me, I'll tag you in this. Now, after they, you know, say their goodbyes, they get into an elevator and well, it's the only elevator, but they get into the elevator, you know, Ashley's mom and Ashley's friend, I think her name is Ava or Eve, and then Ava's mom, Dana. Now, as the elevator opens, Nicole's husband strolls in, and true to what Danny said, he didn't even look at the women. You know, I think he might have given like a nod to the nurse or whatever, but Dana, Ashley's friend's mom, stopped and looked very wantingly toward him. And it made me think, okay, she knows him. She's had sex with him. She wants to have sex with him. And then fast forward, you know, a few minutes later, a scene between Dana and Ava or Eve. I got to figure out her name. I'll just say Ashley's friend. Um, they never come out and say it, but it alludes to the fact that there is something there with Nicole's husband. And I'm just going to go on a limb and say Dana slept with Nicole's husband and had Ava or Eva, Ashley's friend. I promise I'll get the name right next time. And that's the big secret. You know, it's going to blow up in everyone's face, perhaps at the wedding, if everyone shows up to the wedding of Bill and Haley. But yeah, again, like I said, inklings of little things happening all throughout this show. So I think that about covers everything that happened in this episode. Oh, wait, no, it does not. Ashley and Andre. Andre is the nephew of Nicole and her husband. We find out that Nicole's husband lost a brother, and that is the brother's son. And he's in town. He's like an artist of some sort, and he is doing a photo shoot for Nicole, who's winning that award. And he's going to take pictures of Nicole's husband as well, and a video for the award ceremony. But Ashley and Andre, I love A squared. I love that. They very flirty, you know, again, another swirly relationship. We love the swirl that happens in this show. Um, but yeah, like she might have liked him. I mean, they liked each other in the past, but now she's with someone else, but he's still being flirty. Um, and Ashley's preceptor, her nurse that's training her, saw the interaction and was like, "Girl, do not leave your hunky firefighter for Andre. He is a player, and he will break your heart. So stay with your firefighter boyfriend." Oh, and then one more thing. Anita comes home, and Vernon tells her that Bill came over and was alluding to having something over on them. And Anita says, "Did he make any threats? Did he bring anything up specifically?" I think she says that because Vernon's like, he didn't say anything specifically, but she says, we have to protect Martin. So clearly, Martin did something whenever he was younger. I'm going to bank on he probably hit and killed someone, you know, DUI crash, perhaps got out of it, um, or had a very lenient sentence of some sort. He did something that was actually, no, I think he just got out of it because of who he was. Um, but that's my guess. I don't know. If you have any guesses about what Martin needs protecting from, please put it in the comments. I'm curious. But yes, my guess is he killed someone somehow. Maybe a DUI crash, maybe an accidental shooting. I don't know. Who knows? But clearly, Martin or clearly Anita and Vernon want to protect their grandson. Okay, I think I got everything from this episode. I think I covered everything, but please, if I missed anything, please put it in the comments. If I should add anything else, if I should talk about anything else, please, I'm open to suggestions. I'm really enjoying doing this show or doing this because the show is great and it needs our support because that's how we keep it on the air.